Hello and welcome to the Silent Stones Project. Today I'd like to share the story of my great grandmother, Genevieve Janicki, a woman of quiet strength and remarkable resilience. Her story, like so many others, begins in a time of great upheaval, yet is so full of warmth, perseverance, and love that it has carried on through generations. Genevieve Eugenia Janicki was born on September 27th, 1909, in Brooklyn, New York, to Polish-Austrian immigrants John and Anna Janicki. Her mother Anna began her journey in the village of Winnicki, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, now part of modern-day Ukraine. Records list her occupation as a tobacco factory laborer. Like so many Eastern European women seeking a better life, Anna traveled to the port of Hamburg, Germany, at the age of 20. She boarded a crowded steamship, the SS Patricia, bound for New York. The journey across the Atlantic took about 2 weeks. Third-class travelers were crammed into close quarters with limited fresh water, and seasickness, lice, and respiratory illnesses were common. The conditions were far from comfortable, but Anna endured it all, arriving at Ellis Island with just $10 in her possession. She married John Janicki, and the couple started their life together in Brooklyn. John worked as a cooper on the busy piers of Manhattan. Together they had 3 children, John Stanley in 1908, Genevieve in 1909, and Roman Joseph in 1913. Tragically, Genevieve's father John died in August 1916 after accidentally drowning in the North River. He fell from Pier 45 in Manhattan while working, and probate records suggest that the Mallory Steamship Company, his employer, may not have had proper life-preserving equipment on site, though the exact details remain uncertain. Anna later filed a lawsuit against the company for negligence. It must have been a devastating and very difficult time for the young family. In the fall of 1917, Anna remarried. Her second husband was a man named John Jarzembowski. But tragedy struck again the following year when the Spanish flu pandemic swept across the globe. The epidemic killed an estimated 50 million people, more than the total deaths in World War I and COVID-19 combined. In cities like New York, hospitals and morgues were overwhelmed. Schools, theaters, and churches closed. Public health workers struggled to keep up. Sadly, Anna was among the victims. The flu came swiftly and violently with high fever, body aches, and fluid-filled lungs. In just a matter of days, she was gone. She died during the second and deadliest wave of the pandemic. Genevieve and her brothers were left orphaned in a city stricken with grief and chaos. By the 1920 U.S. Census, Genevieve was listed under the name Jenny Janicki as an inmate at St. Joseph's Female Orphan Asylum in Kings County, New York. Her brothers, Roman and John Stanley, appeared in the census at St. John's Home for Boys, John under the nickname Czeslaw. The word inmate was commonly used in records at the time to refer to orphan children in institutional care. These homes served hundreds of children who had lost their parents due to war, disease, and economic hardship. Despite these painful beginnings, Genevieve grew into a strong, loving, and deeply resilient woman. In her early adult years, Genevieve came into her own. Family stories describe her as a flapper, bold, stylish, and full of life. She wore the fashion of the day with flair, bobbed hair, cloche hats, beaded dresses, and that unmistakable sense of youthful confidence that defined the Roaring Twenties. She was known for her independence and sharp wit, a young woman unafraid to speak her mind or stand on her own 2 feet. At a time when many women were expected to marry young and follow a narrow path, Jean charted her own course. She worked, danced, and built a life for herself on her own terms. The loss and hardship she had endured didn't harden her, they gave her strength and a deep sense of empathy that she carried throughout her life. According to census records, Genevieve later lived in Brooklyn with a man named Theodore Hopstein. Together they had one child, Eileen Frances Hopstein, born on June 24th, 1933. However, Jean would eventually learn that her marriage to Theodore may not have been legally valid, as it appears he was still married to another woman at the time. Whether the relationship was knowingly or unknowingly bigamous on his part, this discovery meant that Jean's union with Theodore could not be formally recognized. In the face of this deeply personal betrayal, Jean chose to move forward with quiet dignity. She raised her daughter Eileen as a single mother during a time when doing so carried heavy social stigma. She worked hard at the Walgreens lunch counter in Brooklyn, making a life for herself and her child. She reconnected with her brothers. Her younger brother Roman even lived with her and Eileen for a time, perhaps when he picked up the nickname Uncle Ray. Later in life, Jean and Eileen moved to Syracuse, New York, where her legacy continued through 4 grandchildren: John, Diane, Brian, and Kevin Hotchkiss, 11 great-grandchildren, and nearly 20 great-great-grandchildren across central New York and the East Coast. As a senior citizen, Genevieve became a volunteer with the Foster Grandparent Program in Syracuse. This program paired older adults with children in foster care or group homes, young people who, like Genevieve, had experienced loss and separation from their families. Through arts and crafts, storytelling, and simple companionship, Jean became a trusted mentor and source of comfort for these children. It's easy to imagine how her own childhood experiences moved her to give back in such a deeply meaningful way. To us, she was Grandma Jean. My brothers and I have such fond memories of visiting her, riding up the elevator to her apartment in Syracuse, picnics in the summer, Christmas Eves with Aunt Diane's baked ziti, and Bobby's cornbread casserole at Thanksgiving. Grandma Jean had a wonderful sense of humor, often joking on our birthdays that she'd be happy to hold on to our cake or presents, grinning like she might just keep them for herself. She always spoiled us with love and treats and gave the very best hugs. One of my most treasured memories is watching her hold my baby daughter, her great-great-granddaughter. The look on her face was unforgettable, pure joy and pride. Genevieve lived independently well into her later years. She passed away peacefully at the age of 91, surrounded by her family at her granddaughter's home in Constantia, New York. At her request, she was laid to rest near her beloved brothers at a cemetery in Pennsylvania. Her daughter Eileen now rests beside her as well. Her story is one of loss, survival, and enduring love. Through the generations, her strength and compassion continue to inspire us. Thank you for listening to her story. It's deeply important to me that it's preserved here for all of us who cherish her memory. I've included some of the real photos that inspired the illustrations I used to tell Jean and her family's story. I have not yet been able to locate the graves of Jean's parents, John and Anna, but I've included photos of the graves of Roman Joseph Janicki, John Stanley Janicki and his wife Viola, and of course the headstone of my great-grandmother, Jean, and her daughter Eileen, my bubby. May they all rest in eternal peace. See you at the next stone.